The setting of the battle was an old-growth longleaf pine forest. And the road that exists today, Flat Rock Road, is essentially the same road. The battle, of course, ended up being a total disaster for the Americans. Essentially, the American Southern Army was destroyed for the second time in 4 months, the first time being the fall of Charleston. It was a very hard fight and protracted. The musket fire must have gone on for upwards of 45 minutes at close range before the British were finally able to outflank the Americans and break their lines and ultimately win a decisive victory. The American army was killed, wounded, captured, or fled as individuals or in small groups to the northwest, leaving the dead of both sides, the dead and wounded, all over the field. No one was ever removed. They didn't get up and go home. They are all still right there where they were buried, usually right where they fell, in very expedient graves. And indeed, some of the men may not have been buried at all. And some who were buried were so shallow that portions of their bodies certainly stuck out of the ground. After the South Carolina Battleground Preservation Trust got heavily involved with the Camden battlefield preservation process, an opportunity came up, thanks to Doug, to do burial archaeology. Okay, as it developed, the project, which was envisioned as a small endeavor by the Institute with a small crew, ended up growing tremendously. We ended up with easily 4 times the number of individuals involved that we had envisioned. And our 4-week schedule went to a total of 8 weeks, and our 5 or 6 individuals that we had planned to excavate ended up being 14 individuals in 7 different graves.
So of the bodies that have been recovered, we have 12 Continental soldiers, 1 Loyalist militiaman, and 1 British soldier from the 71st Regiment of Foot, Fraser's Highlander. As a professional historian, military historian, it's one thing to write about battles, map battles, talk about battles. It's an entirely different experience to watch these bodies come out of the ground, to be excavated. I can tell you that everybody involved in this project, the archaeologists, the forensic people, the historians, the volunteers, it was an extremely emotional experience, the excavation of each body. And when these bodies were taken out of the ground, they were carefully removed. Each body was wrapped, they were boxed. Somebody would say a few words over the remains. Somebody would offer a prayer. And then anybody on the team who was a veteran would escort the remains to the coroner's van. I can assure you that these removals were done respectfully, and everyone involved in the project considered it to have been an honor to have been involved in this project.
Once the physical analysis is done and there are samples taken for DNA and isotopic study, the individuals will be ready to go into the 18th century coffins that are being prepared by Historic Camden, and they'll be ready for their trip back to Camden for reinterment.
The remains of the 14 soldiers will be transported from Columbia to Camden. We'll pause at Fort Jackson for a short ceremony at the National Cemetery, and then we'll pass by all the public schools between Columbia and Camden. The bodies will be delivered to the historic Camden campus, where they'll lie in repose until Saturday morning. There'll be a concert Friday night offered by the U.S. Army Old Guard, which should be interesting for everyone. The public will be invited for free to attend. And on Saturday then, we'll have a funeral cortege that'll move with horse-drawn caissons from historic Camden to Bethesda Presbyterian Church. The funeral service, which will be a joint Anglican Presbyterian service, will occur in Bethesda, outdoors actually. And from there, we'll move to the battlefield for a short secular ceremony where a number of notable people, including the governor, will offer their comments. And then the bodies will be reinterred in the places where they were originally found. This will be a one-of-a-kind event. The opportunity to respectfully bury these soldiers that did not have that burial with respect in 1780. We invite you to come to Camden Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Immerse yourself in the Revolutionary War of Camden, South Carolina, and Kershaw County. This is going to be a ceremony that none of us will see in our lifetime again. And to do so with full military honors is what these soldiers deserve. And so on behalf of the South Carolina Battleground Trust and our many partners involved in this project, we invite you to come to Camden in April 2023.